tasting room at Penticton is one of the largest tastings of the festival. In fact, is the largest tasting of the festival. 70 to 80 plus wineries, very large room. And today I'm going to talk about a few of the things, do's and don'ts of negotiating this large tasting room. So one of the first basics is the pre before you arrive at the tasting room, not to wear perfumes, to not wear creams that are heavily scented and so forth, because that interferes with everybody's enjoyment of the wines. And because aroma is such an important component of wine tasting, it's very important that you refrain from wearing those types of things. Number two, bring a pad and paper with you to take notes so that you can write down the wines that you enjoyed and the wines that perhaps you didn't enjoy, so that you can keep track of what you did at the tasting show and have a record thereafter. So one of the things I like to do when I go to the tasting room is to focus on something. Because you have wineries, 70 wineries, each with at least 4 wines, you're looking at 200 or 300 wines. And with 300 wines, you can't taste all 300. It's not physically possible to do that. So in order to find some kind of focus, I usually focus on tasting first white wines around the room and then red wines if I want to taste a white or a red. And I'll usually pick a specific varietal that I'm interested in. So if my personal interest or yours happens to be Pinot Gris or Chardonnay, then I would pick that particular grape and go to each winery's table and try that one. It gives you a great reference to be able to compare one Chardonnay from one winery to another to find out stylistically which wineries tend to make wines that you like. Another important part and aspect in the tasting room that I think shouldn't be missed is the spit bucket. And I'm placing that up here. We have them here at the winery. Just as alcohol impairs your judgment whether it's to drive a vehicle or who you may go home with on a Friday night from a nightclub, it also impairs your judgment on how to judge wines. So again, with the tasting room with 300 wines, if you consume an ounce of each of those wines, that would be 300 ounces of wine, which is well over 10 bottles of wine, and of course you'd need an ambulance to get home from that. So in order to really appreciate and be able to taste as many wines as possible and take full advantage of having so many wineries available to you, I highly recommend spitting. So I'm going to go through a little bit of the process of how to taste a wine when you do get to a table, and I'll go through that process right now. So here from Grey Monk, I'm just, for example, using our Kerner 2008. If you were tasting wines and you wanted to do 2 white wines, I'd definitely recommend trying the drier one first, then going to sweeter whites, and then to light-bodied reds, to full-bodied reds, and then dessert wines at the end. So most wineries pour about a 2-ounce sample to taste. The first thing when you get a wine for a sample is to look at the wine and see that there's nothing floating in it, that it looks that it's clear and looks pleasant, and there's nothing as far as color, that it's not brownish, and that it's light in color or dark in color depending on the wine. And the second is to the aroma. First thing when I smell a wine is I want to make sure that there's no cork taint or other type of taint or oxidization, and that the wine is technically correct. And then the next smell, I'm looking for the various aromas in the wine. Something like this Kerner is very fruit forward, has a lot of peach and apricot. And swirling the glass enables the esters to be released in the wine, and so it allows you to grasp more aromas from it when you're smelling it. And we do the same thing when we taste wine with the aeration as well on the palate, which is called the sommelier slurp, as they say. So the next thing is to taste the wine. Tasting wine is different than drinking wine in the sense that when I'm drinking wine, I'm having a sip and I'm swallowing it. But when I'm tasting wine, for these purposes, I want to swirl the wine gently around the entire palate, because your tongue, the different portions of the tongue, whether it's the tip or the back or the sides, do different things and detect different things, whether it be sour or bitter or sweet. And wine has all of these different components, so you want to give your palate a chance to absorb as many of these things as possible. And I will do the aeration. So you take a small sip and hold it at the front of the palate and then draw air across it to try and give you, again, as much of an option to taste the wine as possible.